Longtime listeners have heard this name before on the podcast. Lily B is the guest of this month's episode. I don't want to spoil any of what she shares, but Lily is a storyteller. It was her advice that focuses podcast on the stories behind why certain places and vocations are special for people. It all happened over breakfast at a Mexican restaurant back in 2023, and it was a light bulb moment for me on how to do this podcast. This is a longer episode because she had a lot to share, and I wanted you to hear it. I also want to give you 2 warnings before you listen. First, this episode contains some descriptions of self-harm. Second, there is some language in this episode that probably isn't for kids. That said, let's get into it with my friend Lily B. I want to welcome my friend Lily B to the podcast and start how we always start. Lily, can you take a moment and introduce yourself to the audience?
I am Lily B. I'm a narrative care provider. I'm a storyteller, but I'd like to say that I've evolved into being a narrative care provider in that I like stories and I love the truth. And because I've gotten to a place where I am happy in my skin and I know how to tell really, really good stories. Like, I know how to tell good stories, but I also know how to bring good stories out of people. So I am just living and being and getting to connect and be around people and listening to what they think about me and the world. And I am someone that wants people to understand why they are who they are.
And Lily, the other thing I like to do at the start is ask all of our guests how we know each other. So what's your side of the story?
I like to say that I know you from the culture because I don't know the pinpointed moment, right? I just know that it's storytelling, hip hop, definitely black and brown culture, right? Like that's what I know you from. We've been in the same space. We've been kicking it for a minute, and that's how I know you.
We have. And I actually went back after we did the prep to remember the first time that I saw you because I actually can pinpoint the day. But it was January 2013 at the WBEZ block party, the winter block party.
Yeah.
At Metro. And it's funny because I'm actually wearing a WBEZ shirt right now. And it's the local NPR station in Chicago. But the block party is a hip hop event. And it's got MCs, it's got a DJ set, it's got a b-boy battle, and they have live graffiti artists going. And I was there photographing the battles. And during a break in the b-boy battles, they called up Lily B to the stage, and you did a grown folk story set and had people come up and tell 5-minute stories. And they were so cool and interesting. And they were people that I had known for a long time from the scene. And I was like, wow, I had no idea they could do that. And at the end, you were like, we do this every third Thursday at the Silver Room in Wicker Park. And I went by myself.
You're hosting that.
Yeah, I went by myself and I brought my wife. And that was 10 years ago plus. And I've been coming every third Thursday every time I can.
It's the earliest. Yeah, because I remember you took the picture and then you turned it later on into the picture of the words.
Yeah, the I Am Project.
So yeah,
and people
I Am series. Wow.
That's right. And for those who are curious about the I Am Project, you can go to IamProject_KBev photo and see what Lily's talking about. But Lily, it was a very fortuitous event that we met, and I'm so glad that we did, and I'm glad to have you on the podcast. You ready to get into it?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, please.
Lily, I want to talk a little bit about when you got your first taste of storytelling. What was the first time, and do you remember the details about it? Can you walk me through when you first did it and were like, this is interesting?
It's not storytelling. It's just, I don't tell people it's storytelling. Because I tell people I've been telling stories my whole life, but I don't think it was storytelling that got me the taste of what it is to be in front of people and speaking and getting a reaction, right? I was in the front seat, I was in the back seat of the station wagon, so there's 3 rows, and it was packed. I don't know where we were headed, but a church, something, but I'm in the car, and I'm repeating what I had heard on TV, but I don't remember what it is. I don't remember the whole joke. I just know that it was a Paul Rodriguez joke from some stand-up comedy show, and it was dick, and then the car erupts into laughter, and then immediately who taught you that? What's going on? But it was laughter, everybody. It wasn't just one person. It was everybody who was in that packed ass station wagon said, bah! And the thing is, like, I don't know what a dick is at that age. Like, I don't know what I just said. I just heard a joke, and on TV, the reaction was the same.
Right.
Da, 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 dick. Da, 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 and I was like, I hit that joke. I
And
laughed
then
at
they
that
but and
joke.
then they realize that it's coming from the 9 or 10 year old in the back. And so
Right.
then what happens? Do they kind of laugh it off? We'll talk about it when we get home, or do they
Oh,
deal with it?
who taught you that? Where did you learn that? Right, right, that happens, and it's just like school, because in my head you can't take school away, but you can take cable away, which is where I learned this was cable sneaking and watching stand up comedy on cable, right? Because you got to sneak watch it. So this was like the beginning of cable TV, like
Mm-hmm.
watching, and that's where I learned what it wasn't. There was no storytelling scene. Jokes, stand up comedy is the
Mm-hmm.
closest you would get to
Mm-hmm.
stories about people's lives, really, really, like real stories. So that I feel like I that was the introduction of like I want more of this.
And we had our mutual friend Binky on, and he was maybe a little bit younger than you, but when he got that first taste of that reaction from people, he was like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
like this." So then I have to ask, where were you when you realized that storytelling was where you belong, that it was your home, that it was it for you?
Oh, I have such a love hate relationship with this whole storytelling scene in life, but I gotta say, it's like I know that it's what I gotta do because I just tell the truth of what happened, and the reaction is that like people ain't always happy with it. I knew real talk it was for me when in the Chicago storytelling scene early on, after Grown Folk Stories, after because Grown Folk Stories is where I kicked it off, and then afterwards is where I kind of
Mm-hmm.
like people started pulling me from people came to Grown Folk Stories to pull me from
Mm-hmm.
the show to do their shows, like come do this, come see this, come that, and I was like, what? There's more of these? Like I had no idea it went outside of Grown Folk Stories. And so when I went outside of Grown Folk Stories, I don't think they were ready for this like radical hood little like
Mm-hmm.
west side woman, poor single mom. Like I don't think that like they were ready for that. So I was showing them a narrative they were not prepared for, and so telling the truth hit a nerve for them. I very early on got a taste of the differences in what it's like to grow up on the west side versus the north side of Chicago. And
Mm-hmm.
so you see my brother, my sister, and I, we are very different in I was exposed to a much more like I was exposed to computers before they were. I was exposed to like the Art Institute
Mm-hmm.
and places in Chicago that my brother and my sister, because of where we lived and the money that went into it, we didn't get to see. So you come into this Chicago scene and start going, you're supposed to be a an all inclusive. Everybody gets to do it. So then where are the other me's? Where are the other 30-year-old Latinas from the West Side who have a kid, who had a kid at 15? Because if this is the Chicago storytelling scene,
Mm-hmm.
why does everybody here have to have a degree or money or And so they got mad about that. They got mad about me telling stories that were not in there. So that's how I knew this was for me because I'm like, I need to bring more me's into this world so that they could stop freaking out.
Right. And do you think they felt threatened by the stories, or accused by the stories, or convicted by the stories? What was the beef they had with you?
Was the they I was called divisive. I was called the Donald Trump of storytelling by a white guy in the storytelling scene. I was called the Donald Trump the story. Why does everything have to be about race? And like I would never judge you on race. And I was like, are y'all even looking at where you all host shows and where you like you don't have to say nothing. You let people know that without money and without the color in their skin that they can't come to you. You're in neighborhoods that we don't live in. We're like 55, 10 miles away. Like you don't have to tell me.
Right.
I
You
can you can see it.
you know how welcome you are by where they put their show, which is ironic because when we were doing grown folk stories in Wicker Park, you could take the L, you could take the bus, you could walk. When you've done some of these shows, do they feel as though you should be thankful or proud of bringing the you to their space?
Oh, all the time. That's what I think the falling out was ultimately. And I say I had a falling out with the scene because of the producer that was like, "You, who are you to not to call us out? You, the month has been so good to you, and like these did that have been so good to you." And I was like, I'm not trying to be mean to them. I'm just being very honest about like, why should I be proud that I'm the first Latina in 20 years? Like this ain't 1922. you know,
Right,
you know
right.
what I'm saying? Like this is 2000, 13. I really just wanted them to be real. Like that's all I want people to be is like just be real, right? Like we get more from being real than not. and so if you were to be like, yeah, you know what, we don't reach out to Latinos and black people as much as we should. How do we do that? But they don't want to admit they don't do that. They want to say like our efforts, and then
Right.
our efforts, and it's like what efforts? If I'm the first in 20 years. But I was like, no, I'm just the first that broke that racial barrier. I didn't win nothing. I just broke the barrier that was in place. Because now you have a bunch of Latinos. They even have a Latino show, and like Nestor Gomez goes around saying like, I heard Lily B while I was Ubering, and that gave me the confidence to go to the show. He heard me speaking Spanish on the Moth and was like, I should go and do this because if that woman could be talking about her abuela and beating up a lady in the streets, like I could go and talk with my stutter and my
Yeah.
immigration. Like he heard me, so that's why representation matters. And they don't tell that story, right? They don't tell like how being the first Latina inspired other Latinos, right? Because the truth is like they know that by telling, I'm gonna ask the question that is, but why?
Right.
and what can we do to change that? I love it. That's how I know I was like, I have to be here because other people then get to want to do this. Like if Nestor Gomez and like that's not even it. Like I remember a woman telling me I eulogized my mother because of you. Like I was able to eulogize my mom because of the class she took with me. And I'm like, that's not even what I taught you, what I taught it for. Like I never imagined you eulogize your mother. That's how I knew this is for me. It's little stuff like that. It's never the big winning moments of the Moth. Nah, man. It's these moments where like Nestor says, "I wouldn't have done it without you,"
Hmm.
or that woman is like, "I was able to talk about my mom, who I did not get along with, by the way. I was able to stand at a place and say, look, this is why, and tell a beautiful narrative about the relationship between her and her mother. Man, don't tell me I can't do this.
Lily, I want to get into some of the things that are special to you about storytelling, which I realize could be a whole podcast series in and of itself. But where should we start?
Storytelling for me is vulnerable. It helps you peel back the layers of like what is life and people and just situations. I know that I would not have survived. I don't think we've mentioned this yet, but I have been unhoused since September 2023. I know that I would not have survived or could not have survived or would not be surviving. what am I talking about? It's not over. I'm still in it. I would not be surviving if I was not able to be vulnerable, but then also like I want to say like invite or pull vulnerability from the people that I encounter. I tell the story of like I met a guy in Indiana, like red Indiana, right? and we talked about him teaching me how to fish because I think I should know how to fish if I'm going to survive out there on the streets in the wild. I should know how to fish. I know how to hunt. I should know how to like change my tires. Like so, I
Right.
figured if I'm gonna be homeless, I'm gonna make this like a learning experience. And in French Lick, I met this guy, and when he took me fishing, he like took off his like shirt to put on these like waders,
Hmm.
and took off his shirt. I gasped like, oh, and he turns around like, whoop, like, what? Like he thought a bear may have like came to our camp, and I was like, you, bro, like you. And he's like, what you talking about? I was like, there's this huge Confederate flag on your back. Like he has this like huge Confederate flag tattoo on his back. And I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna die at this lake. I'm
Right.
gonna
This is where
die
they
at
find your
this
body.
lake. This was a trick. He invites women. Like in my head was all this like, oh man, I'm gonna have to like find a way to not be a cold case at
Right.
this point.
But then what was his story behind that?
Oh, he got him. He got it. He was a dumb teenager. It was a 15-year-old who just got tattoos with his boys. Didn't even know what the Confederate flag really meant at the time because later on we're talking about other tattoos and he's got this other tattoo on his wrist above, like right above his right wrist, and it says Otis.
Hmm.
And I asked him who Otis is, and Otis is his son. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know you had a son because we hadn't really gotten that deep. and he was telling me the story of his relationship with the son's mother and da da da, and it turns out that the son's mother is Dominican. She's got issues. The story that I get from this man is a story of that we all can kind of relate to, which is like a relationship doesn't work as a result of the relationship not working, both between him and the partner and him and his parents and whatever. The son dies. He knows that the son would be alive had there been more tolerance from the family. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Like this is like I don't want to give this man's life out there, right? But I'm just like put anything on blast. But what I'm saying is I'm supposed to die. You know what I'm saying? According to the world, this man's supposed to kill me in the middle of because that's what people like that flag on their back, that's what all that means. But if I don't take the time, the moment, to be like, look, what the fuck is that? Like, what is that? Like, that the fear that is, what
Mm-hmm.
is that? And then also more like digging in deeper, like the vulnerability that I'm able to show that I'm scared of that. To understand that that scared me, and him being able to say, I'm sorry that that scared you. I was dumb. Like having to admit that
Mm-hmm.
you're dumb, that you did something dumb and that you didn't mean to. Like we were hella vulnerable that day together,
Yeah.
and because of it, if anything ever goes down, I know there's a dude in French Lake, Indiana, that will look out for me.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting to hear you describe that because you went from arguably a trust deficit when you saw the flag on his back to somehow flipping it in an afternoon or a morning to something positive, and you realize that
mm-hmm.
he's walking around with literally his story tattooed on his wrist of something that must have been really painful to share.
Yeah. And now I know that everybody's carrying some shit like that. Everybody's got an Otis tattoo somewhere. Like not, metaphorically, that I don't know or see or and I have to accept that about the world, Keith. Like that's how I can't walk the world assuming that everybody because of what I just can't. This man showed me in one afternoon, like you never know what people are carrying and who got your back and who don't. Like his own family don't got his back, and he found more trust. Like, man, I could go on, like you said, it could be a whole show.
So, Lily, are there people along your journey that have helped you realize like how to use stories or how to pull stories or receive stories from people to get them to open up and make that connection? Did you have mentors along the way, or is this like a sixth sense that you were born with?
I was definitely born with the ability to say what I feel in a very concise way. Like they'll tell you, like I wrote and everything, and on the porch when I was listening to stories, I wish I could have said something, but I heard a bunch. But in the world of storytelling, definitely, I would give Kevin Allison a shout out. Kevin Allison from the Risk podcast. I would say, oh my god, in the midst of all the drama with the storytelling scene, this wonderful gay man, gay white man from New York, the way that he was able to pull the Lily B, the inner Lily B out of me to let me know that because I'm a published author. I don't know if y'all know that. Like I'm in a book that and the story that I did on a show is in that book, and it's because his coaching. The Queen of the Tunnels is the story, and there's a very descriptive fantasy scene of like I'm gonna run the tunnels when fascism hits. I'm gonna be underground and we're gonna be living in the tunnels and I'm the queen of the tunnels. But the story is really about just women of color and how strong we are. But he was like, you need to pull the fantasy out, pull the fantasy out. And when he was saying pull the fantasy out, like live in that fantasy, it was like being able to say what I really, really feel without fear of judgment or shame,
Mm-hmm.
because we all feel that stuff. Like we all say, "Ooh, I wish I could," but we don't do it. And I think that's what I really enjoy about the Riz podcast is that it allows you to be messy, but it's messy with a message, and a lot of places don't let you be that way. Grown folks does, but a lot of places don't.
Yeah, and
So,
for those listening, the Risk podcast is, I think it's still available on a lot of platforms.
mm-hmm.
I used to listen to it all the time. And yeah, they are very raw, very real stories. But if you're interested in storytelling, it is definitely a different vibe than some of the other storytelling podcasts that are out there. I highly recommend people check it out. Lily, vulnerability is one aspect I understand, especially after seeing grown folk stories for the last decade. You have people get up there and make us laugh. They make us sort of clutch our pearls, so to speak. And in some cases, you'll see people shed tears, both on stage and in the audience. In addition to vulnerability, what else would you highlight about storytelling that makes it so special?
Its ability to connect. Like we have all these social media and Instagrams and I find that like when I'm out on the road, because again I live in my van and I'm just staying on homesteads and farms and I don't have money or resources and I don't have nothing. I have nothing. Like I'm paper uh, but I you don't survive 18 months unhoused on the road, happy, healthy, fed because you're not able to connect. Like I can find a way to relate and connect with everyone because my little blue friends, and I say my little friends in blue bubbles in Chicago, Detroit, and all these places love
Mm-hmm.
to tell me
Our
like,
safe place.
you know, that like they love to tell me that it's like, girl, all you gotta do and all you gotta be, but come out here and tell me how easy it is to just stand in that power and that like no and radical. No, you gotta find a way. Like my mom says, con guantes de seda, you know, with like suede or silk gloves to approach and live in a world where like I gotta wash clothes in these cities. I gotta go to laundromats, right? And so I'll sit in a little laundromat. And I have been in laundromats with little old ladies, little Omaga ladies, I call them, right? Talking about what the election, the upcoming election, April and May, right? Like we're talking about November and April and May, and it's like everybody frustrated. It wasn't like they were just like, oh, and wait till these people of color come over here. Like they're not. They're sitting here like, what the is going on? What is happening? Just like me. And I was sitting there like, and what's cute is that they're like, because we're both in this frustrated space, I can sit there because I'm not afraid of them, and I'm not afraid of their husbands either. Like, I'm like, look, what are you gonna do in November? Like, what's
Mm-hmm.
gonna happen? Hearing them be like, well, I know my husband's gonna vote, but I might just tell him I'm gonna vote like how he's gonna vote, right? So they know what's at stake. It's not like they don't know. So I connected with these little old ladies and like these little Omaga ladies who were like, hey, "Where are you from? What you do?" You know, and I tell them what I do. I live in a van. I work on farms. Well, wow, like they're wowed by me. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Like and what does that mean? What am I supposed to take that? You know, and be like they don't mean it because I'm there. You're not. They
Mm-hmm.
don't really mean that. So that's what somebody would say. They're only wowing you because they can't hurt you, and it's like, well, that it don't matter. Like they can't. They're not. I can walk out of there and drive away. Is what I'm saying. They're not making phone calls. Like, I mean, come on now.
Right, but you have a story and they have a story, and it feels like you're able to just connect with them with something that's honestly free to share. I mean, it just costs you your time.
Right. They bought me little potato chips. You want one of these, honey? Like they bought me chips. Like I didn't ask them for chips, but that's what I'm saying. Like all I got is what I got, and they got it too. And if we find a middle ground, man, it's all that's over with. Like,
So, Lily, this is the second example where, first of all, I applaud your venturing out into the red void of the country, but the term you used when we were preparing for this was radical acceptance.
oh man,
Can you say
yeah.
more about what that means in the context of storytelling?
I believe it has taught me is how to navigate in a world where I know, we love to say the phrase like, we're a fabric. This is a fabric of society. But what does that mean? If we're a fabric of society, meaning us humans, people, living beings, things, then we're all part of this big fabric. We're all threads in the fabric. Like we're all threads in this fabric. And not all of us are going to be strong threads, and not all of us are going to be long threads, and not all of us are going to be colorful threads, right? Like we just going to be threads in a big ass fabric of society. And I can't say you can't be part of this fabric if it's all like because once you cut out a fabric, what happens? You get holes in a fucking like that's what happens. You start cutting pieces of fabric you think don't belong. If you imagine the world is like a big old blanket, we about to lose all of Palestine in this blanket. You know what I'm saying? We about to lose everything. It's gonna be a big ass hole. And then what are we gonna put in the place of that hole? A big old plastic like that's gonna be so off. I'm just like I've come to a place where everything is everything. Everybody is everybody. I'm here for us. I'm here for all of us, and all of us should be here for all of us. Because if we're not, then that's how we end this mess in the first place. Because we think some people don't belong. No, we all belong. Everybody. Sorry, sorry to bust your bubble. Even them, yes, even them. Like that, whoever them is to you, yes, you got to deal with them being here. Stuff is gonna go down, Keith, but we're gonna have to go down together.
Lily, when we were preparing for this, you also shared why storytelling is much more personal for you. It's not just about being vulnerable around other people or connecting with other people, but for yourself, it's more personal. And I want to talk about what storytelling means in your life. So can you share a little bit about that?
Storytelling legit saved my life. Like there's no way to put it. It's not even hyperbole, to be honest. Like I even say like it's not hyperbole. Like I had already made plans in my life to not be around in 2008, 2009. Like I had just been through like ugh, BS after BS. It was just too much. And then I took in a roommate who he took all my money. And coming from a really rich, privileged family in Virginia, like the shame of being like, I owe this woman all this money I got stolen, he couldn't do that. So instead, like, he he took my money to make more money, which only a white, straight, privileged man could even think that was like entitlement. Like was like I'm gonna take all this money, 3,000, and I'm gonna buy this much product and then double it and then get you back the money I owe you. Like who thinks like that? When I found out, I was like, I'm gonna go get my money. Let's go get my money. And he didn't want to go. He didn't expect a little, didn't expect a Chicago person to be like, let's go get my money. And I ended up in a mental ward. That's what happened. That's the whole
Mm-hmm.
story. I ended up in a mental ward because I cut my wrist in this anger. And he called and was like, my roommate cut her wrist. And like, accidentally. No, no, accidentally. So you get taken away for 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
And in those 7 days, I made sense of what was life. Like, okay, you almost died. And then when I got out of the mental ward, he had gone around and told everybody that I tried to end my life because I was rejected by him. Lily told me she loved me and I told her no and she tried to kill herself. Not I took all Lily's money. I've
Right.
been living off of Lily and her sister for all this time. Like he didn't say none of that. And so it was a mess. It was like a messy thing, but a friend of mine was like, "Where you been?" Because I hid after that. Like I was
Right.
depressed. I was like, you know what? Everybody believes this story. Everybody believes the narrative that is, I took somebody in, and because I took him in out of the kindness of my heart, because I was tired of hearing him live on the couches, and he was a good human being. Like, don't get me wrong, he's still a good human. He just made some really bad choices against me that led me to have to do this. And he went on, instead of owning that the shame, he sent me to a mental ward, and I became depressed. And then someone said, come to this show, and I went to the show, and I wasn't expecting to go on the stage, and she threw my name in the hat. And then I go in and then the Cara Brigandi's like, Lily B, Lily, because I wasn't Lily B at the time. I was just plain old fucking Lily.
Wait, wait, wait,
And
wait, 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 wait. Somebody actually did that to you. They put your name in the hat. So
oh
for the
yeah, no,
for
I didn't sign up. What
for
do you think? I
for
wasn't
those
a
listening,
performer.
Grown Folk Story is the event that Lily and I met at. You put your name in the hat, and then they just draw names, and you got 5 minutes to do your thing. But there's always like a group of friends who are, snicker as they write their buddy's name down. That literally happened to you.
Yeah, somebody was like Lily, like they called Lily, and I looked around for the other Lily because I was like, that's not me. And
So
then
what
my
story
friend
did you tell?
Xavier putting cat poop in his girl's book bag because she was his bully. Like it was a story about my son having a girl bully and how I reacted in the principal's office because she spit in his food twice. Like he reacted because she spit in his food twice and nobody did anything. And then they were trying to like suspend him, like the
Mm.
first time ever to suspend him. And I went in there and I was like, nah. I was very like NaH exclamation point. Nah, that's not about to happen. And it was a spectacle, but it was a fun and then I would never tell anyone that. I held that story in my heart, and my friend who put my name in the hat was like, "Tell them that story," because I told close people, but I would
Right,
never.
right. Not in front of like 50 or 100 people that you don't
No, why would
know.
I tell people that I was like I cursed in the principal's office? Like it was one of those
But then what
like things
happens when you
like
tell that story? I mean, again, people haven't been to grown folks, but what's the reaction and what's it like when you get that off
well,
your chest in front of
it
strangers?
it's total. Well, when it happened to me at the moment, I was terrified. I walked out and smoked. I was smoking at the time. I don't smoke anymore, but I smoked like 3 cigarettes in a row. You know what happens? Zuinda walks out of the silver room, and she's looking for me because all the mirrors are fogged up, right? And
Mm-hmm,
she looks for me and she's like, "There you are." I was like, "What?" Like I wasn't expecting a reaction to that story, and Zuinda gave me a reaction that was like, oh my gosh, I can relate. My son had a bully, and it was just this like, oh my goodness, I'm here. Like this is home. I'm accepted. I'm like what? You don't care that this wrist is like slit? Like you don't care that that people are saying that I fell in love with a bum, and you don't care? Like you don't care about any of that? Nah, girl, I don't even know you like that. But it was this like, oh my gosh, it was so good to feel accepted in a place that just had told you that your story was something else. I went every month like church. It was like
you and
church
me
for me.
both. You and me both. And it feels like a lot of the stories can get messy at Grown Folk Stories. But then I also listen to other storytelling shows and podcasts, and they're not really messy like that. To me, that's a
No.
little bit of what's special about storytelling, but in particular, Grown Folk Stories.
Oh my gosh. Why? I always say that, like, it's the message is in the messiness, you know? Nobody wants that story that I was like, I'm great, I'm the greatest, I'm the best, I stay being the best. Like, who listens to that story? No, the story, the mess is the message. If we're not sitting here telling people that we are, and, you know, it feels disingenuous. It feels like they're feeding you the stories you should be, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And with grown folks, it's like, you never know. You never know what reality out there is. I love it so much. I want to curate all those stories. Like that's the stories I want to produce from here on out. Are just the messy messages that
Well,
we all live.
I'm here for it. And the messiness part of it is what makes it fun. And it
I
is
know.
sometimes people on stage processing what happened and not having a moral to the story or a takeaway from the story or a punchline. It's just, hey, this happened to me. I'm trying to make sense of it. So I'm going to put it out there and see if any of you have ideas.
Yeah, were you there, Keith, when the gentleman, trigger warning, mentioned that he had attempted to end his life 1 month? And then someone in the audience was like, listen, if you need to talk, I'm a therapist, huh? Here's my card. And then the next month, this dude comes back and he's talking about like a embarrassing sexual experience or something like
Yep.
that. Something like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, when I say life saving, changing, right? That's what I'm talking about. Is that stuff? Is the stuff where it's like, look, I'm gonna say something and y'all may not be comfortable with it, but as long as it's not, you know, racist, bigoted, right? If it's not like sexist, you know, homophobic, which is what they usually say, like, man, the way that it's embraced and not like sitting there like, that did not have an inciting incident or a climax or like, you know, you're not
Yeah.
sitting there judging it like that. I'm not here for that anymore. I get it. There's a space for that, but come on now, real regular people, we need a space where you can say finna
I hear you. I
and
hear
not be
you.
like, what does that mean?
Lily, I also know that you're now a teacher and a coach for storytelling. It's not just telling stories in the back of the station wagon and saving your own life, but you're teaching and helping people tell their story. How does that help you see storytelling differently than others might see it?
When Second City hired me, I didn't know that they could just call you and offer you a job, so I didn't think it was real. I thought somebody was trolling me. Little did I know that somebody at Second City was like, "Hey, you want an improvised storyteller?" Like, I don't write anything, Keith. I never write a story, and I'm pretty sure you don't either. You know, because we come from this
Yep.
world of just like griots, right?
Right.
And so they told me to come up with a curriculum. I got hired by Second City. A friend of mine was like teaching there, and he was like, "Look, improvised storyteller. This lady knows how to just tell a story." And that's the school they are,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was one of the first storytelling teachers at Second City, Chicago,
Wow.
and I was teaching people how to tell stories from their brain, like without notes,
Right.
because I believe there's a YouTube video I watched where it tells you how the body survives a being stranded at sea,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes through the body's like the body knows what it needs to do to keep you alive the longest
Right.
without you telling it.
Right.
And that's what it was showing. Like it shuts off this system and this system by this time, you're and I was like fascinated. And in the same way that the body knows what to do to keep you alive, I like to believe that the body also knows, the mind specifically knows what like memories to keep for the same reason, for your survival, mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever it needs to keep alive in you. Your brain knows exactly what memories to hold on to. And so when I speak to people and I ask them, especially my students, when I give them a prompt and everybody's like, I don't have a story. Shut up, you do. You do. For every prompt I give
Mm-hmm.
you, you have a story. You think you don't, but you do. And so when they give me their answers, I know for a fact that it's going to sit and resonate in some way, shape, or form with a feeling, and then with a person or place or a thing, a noun, right? And I see it before they see it. I love the game that is I don't have a story, and then I can't shut you up.
Right. Right. Because in some ways you've been trained and people have been trained to feel like their story isn't worth telling or it's not important enough or nobody wants to hear it.
No, everybody wants that epic I got stuck between two rocks and had to cut my arm off story, but it's like
Right.
that's not what happens to everybody. Sometimes you just miss the bus and the whole day is ruined, and that's enough to explain why a bus ruined your day, right? And then if we dig, we'll notice that like it's not the bus, it's not about the bus at all. It's really about you having a job that you hate and like, oh my gosh, that's the potential.
Right.
That's what,
Maybe I
you
missed
know?
the bus on purpose.
Maybe life wants you to miss that bus. Maybe the bus is not for you. And I can see that. And then the story is magical. I love it. But it makes me curious about everybody. Like if I don't think that way about people, then I'm just walking around with a stank face, like mad and upset. But like for me, curiosity is everywhere. I'm smiling at like people. Oh my god, because I know that you got something in you you don't even know you got. I'm the happiest unhoused woman you'll ever meet, and it's not because I have everything I need. It's because I know that everything I need I have in me, and the world will reflect to me what I give it. It has, and I'm here. And it'll all be a narrative. It'll all be because oh, I see that story. I see your narrative. I see you, and people like that. People like being seen.
Okay, Lily, as we wrap up, and I gave people the warning up top, we could have talked for hours. I just know we could have. I'm with a storyteller, y'all. I can't let you leave without sharing where people should go if they want to hear more, if they want to find you, if they want to hear your stories. Where should they go?
Okay, I'm avoiding the meta apps, so I'm not gonna give you that.
Okay.
Stoopstylestories.com. It's the style of stories that I do, so that's where it's named. It's from the stoop, from just sitting on the stoop. Stoopstylestories.com. Events, shows, workshops, also blog that I write on, and it's limited blog because the big blog is on Patreon. It's patreon.com/stoopstylestories, and then on YouTube. I'm all over YouTube. You type in Lily B, The Risk got me on there, Moth guy has me on there, and if you just type in Lily B, my stories are floating. Anyone that's ever recorded my story has put it up. I've got 20 by 2, and like, yeah, they're everywhere. So
Awesome. I will include all of those links in the show note, and it's Lily, Lillybe, if you're going to search on YouTube. But Lily, thank you for coming on. This was a relatively short notice ask, and I'm grateful for you seeding the idea for the podcast, but also coming on and being a participant as well. So thank you. It was great to
I'm so
connect.
happy you're doing this. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so happy this is what you're, oh my gosh. I'm so happy for everything you're doing. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of My Home is Special. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you get future episodes automatically. Go to myhomeisspecial.com for the occasional email update too. That's where links to photo galleries and a few other surprises will live. Be sure to follow KBev Photo on Instagram for behind-the-scenes footage during our journey, and it'll be in the stories. If you just want the photos, go to kbevphoto.com. There's a lot else on there to explore. For now, this is Keith, aka KBev, signing off. Peace.